stuff. So let me tell about apartment. I mean, a rented apartment. So, if you rent an apartment, you can change whenever you want. And if you have some sort of problem, like electrical problem, or house wire goes on fire or whatever, some problem, then don't need to worry. You can just tell your house apartment owner. And also, if you don't like an apartment you are staying right now, then you can change wherever and whenever you want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
absolutely agree
Yeah,
with him.
we
Okay, okay.
agree with that. But
I
do
know,
you know
like,
the pleasure
that's
of
actually that's actually a very good thing that you can change very
Yeah.
quickly, but there
Yeah.
is
You
also
can have
another
very
big
variety.
issue, because changing from one apartment to another obviously costs money. And
Yeah.
as you talked about, like, the telling the owner about things which are broken, most owners tell you to fix the thing. Like, if this is electrical or the building's issue, then the owner would fix it. But if, like, a tap is broken, or, like, for example, like, what can I
It's
say?
actually our fault that we are
That's
using
our
it.
it is our
Yeah.
fault that we
Yeah.
have to pay.
But the electrical
Yeah.
and the other things,
Like the
then-
building stuff, I
yeah,
would say.
building
Like
stuff,
the-
that-
And do
Let me
you
say
know the
that.
pleasure when we buy a house? The
What?
pleasure we get when we have our own house.
What?
Yes.
And let
What
me
like
say
I what like when we
Pleasure.
buy our
trying to say the mental satisfaction.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
like but mental satisfaction
also-
comes with
But
But when
What
we
will
own
make
our apartment, we can just customize that apartment like
yeah by our own
like our
Yeah.
own self. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Let me say
I know that this topic is not about affordability,
Facts.
but like just imagine that if a person can't afford, like, what can I say, your own apartment, then how the hell is he going to like enjoy the mental satisfaction that you guys are
Absolutely.
talking about? Like,
Yeah.
if we're like talking about you have to like pay taxes to the government, you
Yeah,
have to
I was about to
like
say that,
like you know
Like,
like do
yes,
maintenance
and
stuff to
even the
electrical
rental
appliances and many other things if you're living in an own apartment. But if you're living in a rental apartment, then that like the house owner or the like what can I say the flat owner will take care of all those expenses. So I don't think you will have that much time covering all those costs, because you don't have to do it, the house owner will do it for you.
okay, like, that's a very good thing that the house owner would do it for you. But there is also another issue, that there is no restrictions in your own house. You can come whenever you want. You can get out when, like, most rented houses have a time when you can get in, get out. They close the door at a certain time. Like,
yeah,
what I'm
Well,
talking
but to be
about.
honest,
But-
like to
but
be honest, I mean,
Okay.
like,
Honest?
no, I'm just saying that like not all like what can I say, like not all like rental apartments like restricts a specific time.
Yeah.
Like I know
Actually,
that I
all
live in,
apartments do, like,
no
I live
majority,
in-
no,
listen, listen.
majority.
majority.
but listen,
But-
I live in a rental apartment, but in that apartment, like I can come in anytime I want. I just have to
Yeah,
like
for the
you know
my
knock
apartment
it.
is the same.
And but also
but
the
you
only
got-
thing I like find trouble in is that the lift is not on, but you can still go up by the stairs.
Yeah,
But-
but,
but-
you still gotta see one thing for like doing some jobs, like you have to go another places for
Yeah.
like a long
I get
time.
it.
That
And who's
rental
gonna-
apartment is best.
Okay, but if
Yeah.
you were like, listen, that topic never specified that we have to like live in that apartment. Like
It
if
does.
we actually like
Not
like if we
permanently.
have an own apartment, then we
Yeah.
can just basically give it to rent. Like we can also make some money. Like
Yeah.
while we're
Yeah.
living in another place, like let's say another rented place, but still we will be making money by our
But
own
still
apartment.
you have
by
to
giving
give
it by rent.
taxes
Yeah, like-
and also more
But the
different
thing
things.
is, taxes are only a year.
Yeah,
On
yeah.
rented apartments, you have to pay monthly. Taxes are not monthly,
Yeah,
obviously.
that's
They
more
are only
expensive.
yearly. And the taxes aren't as that much, like 1 lakh taka for a mini
Yeah.
house. It is not like that. It's most of the time the taxes are
Once
pretty
in a
cheap.
year, actually.
Once in a year, I know, but it's pretty cheap though, most of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
We can afford.
Like, if
If
I
a
say-
person owns an apartment, they can afford.
Okay, okay. So
Okay.
please continue with your
if,
point.
if I say about own apartment that the rented places are being unfamous, and if I give an example, there I can say about Dolishari Tower, it is getting unfamous, and the Ukosar is getting, I mean, unresidential.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Not really.
Ukosar is getting residential.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
I
that's
mean,
right.
it can change, but if you have our own house, then that is actually not the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is a bit of problem. Like
Yeah,
if you're
because
wanting
you-
to buy something to the grocery store like that, then we have to travel to another place where
It
it's
will
like
take
a
a
bit
lot of
more
time.
famous. Like,
Yeah,
I
and
will
there
get
is
a
also a
suggestion.
security topic. Like, if you own a house and you have a job, you have to go. And who's gonna look after your house?
Yeah.
And if you have a family, that's another option.
Huh?
But if you're living in another place like abroad and you choose to like buy a new house there to live there, then it's just like who will take after your house?
You can rent your, like you can give
Yeah, you
rent
can
to
give your rent.
random
Yeah.
person.
You
know.
can rent
but
your house.
if someone does not give, in
They
that
give someone does not give what do you mean
Yeah,
by that?
always someone will always be like
Yeah.
get rent the
That-
house.
But
More than
actually, we
always
can
they
make
rent
money
the
by
house.
our own apartment.
Yeah.
That's the point.
we can, but sometimes not many people does want to rent their houses. Not
But why won't one rent
Why-
their
yeah.
house?
Why
I
is
know.
it
If,
why?
no, no, I
If
know.
they're going
I-
abroad.
Yes, obviously.
they would obviously need money, so they have to rent because
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
absolutely.
expense for
Oh,
them.
and if you're talking about their stuff, they will obviously sell their home stuff like furniture because they are going obviously
Yeah,
on
yeah.
abroad. They
Facts.
cannot bring their furniture abroad.
Oh,
That's
absolutely
common
money
sense.
for going abroad.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah,
true.
they can sell it for like.
Yeah. Well, but now let me just say one thing. Like,
one thing.
I think someone mentioned it already, but when you're moving things, obviously you have to pay money, but that's not the thing. But like, you have to like arrange all that furniture and
Yeah.
all those things like again and again, so it can get a bit repetitive if you're like constantly moving houses. But if you like doing it like, let's say, like once in 4 years or something like that, like for work purposes or something, but then it may get a bit boring because you see you don't know like where to put things. Like, you have to literally make another plan to like where to put the things, and but next thing you know, you will get the transfer next year, so you have to move up places again.
But it is
Yeah.
also the same for both of those. Like if we're in the apartment, then we do have to move our furniture still. And if we're having our own house, then if we're moving, then we have to do the same thing.
In
Okay,
both
okay.
cases, we
Another
have
thing
to
I would
move our
obviously love to
furniture.
mention is that if you own a house for like a long time, then we have emotions to that area,
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
ahead of that
Oh,
area.
the
Like people know us, we're
emotion
well known in
is-
that
Yeah.
area. But if we in a rented house, we keep changing our house, people would not know us as much
Yeah.
as they are.
Yeah.
Would be new to the area. And also in area meetings, like many people have area meetings, the house
Yeah,
owners
yeah.
meeting, most renters don't get invited. Like most of the time renters are like stage below the house owners, and most area meetings they don't get obviously invited.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you know.
Okay,
Yeah,
look
and
what
also
you're
there's no
doing.
guarantee that those areas would be secure.
Okay,
Yes,
let's
that's also
give
true.
him a chance.
Bukashar is getting residential, so the grocery shops and other necessary shops are placing their shops
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah.
which can be a problem for who live in Jaleshwari.
Okay, that can
Okay,
obviously
okay,
be a
okay,
problem.
okay.
Be-
And now listen,
But
why
still-
you all focusing? Like, why you like only focus
Yes,
on
yes.
Jaleshwari?
Our topic
Yeah,
does not
yeah.
permanent.
It's
Yeah,
always
I
change.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, calm down, calm down.
Okay,
Let's
let me
just-
say something.
Let's just let
give him a
time
chance.
pass.
Let them.
Calm down.
Okay, so even if you rent a house, I think, I mean, while as I said about furniture, we have to move in both cases.
Yep.
But I think if you have, I mean, a permanent house, then you won't chase it. I mean, like
As
yeah,
much
you-
as-
as much as the rented
Yeah,
apartment.
But we still do.
Yeah, but-
yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
but
jobs
it
are
is
good.
like for,
Yeah.
like
Really?
get once in a
Yeah.
10 year
Yeah.
or 20 years. Then you will, I mean, the furnitures will stay
Yeah, yeah.
like that. And if you don't like the furniture,
Yeah.
you can just, I mean,
Renew it.
replace it by,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
buying another furniture.
Well,
new
Or
furniture.
like selling it or reconstructing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but you
Wait,
see, like for like owning a like apartment or a house, so like you can also modify it some of the times. Like if you want, like I know it's expensive, but you can still modify and do better
Yeah,
things
yeah.
with
You
the
can
house.
also modify in the apartment. Like if you don't like the color of your apartment.
You can-
Actually,
wait, what? I
Actu-
can. I also
I
live in I also live in a rented apartment, and
But
we
it's a
also-
minority.
Okay,
But there's an advantage.
Okay, so let me just talk. Like majority of the people who rent their houses don't let you
Yeah, yeah,
paint or attach stuff to the. You
Yeah.
can only attach it in your own house because you may like the paint, you may not like the paint that is the
Yeah.
house, and you may change it. But but there is no guarantee that the next person who rents your house would like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why
Alright.
most renters don't allow it.
Well,
There's
okay.
another point, which is in the rental apartment, there are so much restrictions. Like you can't like make so much noise. Like you can like play
Yeah.
your speaker,
Yeah, yeah.
loudspeaker. Like you can
Wait.
play music
At first,
at night.
Okay, well now listen. If you like bought a house in a community, then if there's a rule against like playing loud music in your house, then obviously you will like have to pay fines, like let's say about 500 taka. But if you're living in America, then the neighbors will call police on him, like literally, like they
Yeah,
might
yeah.
also,
Because
you
there
know,
are
they might
Okay,
more-
stir
okay.
up a
So
lot of
first of
trouble.
all, it's only for America where neighbors are crazy enough to
But-
call the police on you. And
Yeah.
second of all, like houses in Bangladesh and many other countries, there is a limit to how far a house, how close a house can be from one another. I
Yeah,
forgot the limit, but still, if you play loud music, the music is not gonna be that loud that it is gonna go through 3 walls just to go to your neighbor's ear. Like people
Yeah.
have at least our bedroom, the house wall, the
Okay,
door,
yeah,
and
yeah,
many
yeah.
other things. So I don't think it is gonna be as loud as much. But if you, I don't know, buy a 5 lakh speaker, then it might be.
Well,
I'm
I
just
get
saying.
it, but I think like if you like have a bit of a permanent job, like that job, like where you won't get that much transfer, then I think it is better to like buy your own house.
Yeah, so we
But
can
if you
rent
have a job like that will like transfer you constantly, then you will have to like move up places. So in that case, rented houses are much better than just buying an own house, as you
Yeah.
won't be able to like live in it. So you
Absolutely.
just have to like give it to rent, which might like not be that much like what can I say.
For the
Yeah.
people who are temporary in jobs, the rented house can be good for them.
Yeah, yeah,
because
that's what
they
it
can
is.
be posted to
And also,
any other places in such
Yeah.
time.
So nowadays, I mean, childrens are in, I mean, like every house, most of
Yeah.
every house.
Almost,
So yeah, but let me tell, and the children like 5, 6, or 7 years old children like to draw on walls,
yeah.
right? Everyone knows.
Yeah.
We also
That's
did.
Yeah,
Great
yeah,
topic.
We
Okay.
also did. But
That's
if
amazing.
you have your own apartment, then you, I mean, your children, you draw whatever and wherever they want, and you won't just tell because it's their hobby or they
Yeah.
like it.
Hobby?
But
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
let me
child.
finish.
Okay,
Let
but
me
my
finish.
friend.
But if you
But no, okay, I think
Let him
let
tell.
finish first.
But if you have a rented apartment, then your, I mean, child can't draw on walls, or your house owner will.
Yeah.
I mean-
So we're saying that like in our own house or in our own apartment we can draw, but you see you still have a like some responsibilities on it. Like you cannot let like children draw there, because some of the times it's not like erasable. So in also that in that
It
case,
won't be like someone else's child. that
Okay,
we
okay,
will be
that will be
angry.
obviously
It's
our
our,
child.
yeah, it's our own child. They can do
Yeah.
whatever they
Yeah,
want.
whatever
In
they
the
want.
future,
But-
yeah, it's
but
their
if
home.
We can
That's
always
the freedom.
Yes, yes, that's
Freedom.
our
Freedom.
freedom.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just
Another question.
okay, let me. Karim actually mentioned a very good topic about children, but children do many things. Like they want to play in the field,
Yeah.
they scream all the time, they cry. Most renters don't like it. Like
Yeah.
for example, if children want to play football in the garage, most renters won't like it. They will
Yeah.
hate it. But if it's your house, you can obviously it's your children. You can
Yeah,
let
yeah.
them play.
Yeah,
Let
They
them
like-
can do
there
whatever
is
they
no
want.
restriction. Our
Yeah.
children can have their childhood filled with fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I think we're about to finish. So I think, like in conclusion, we just found that living in your own house can
It's
give you
better.
mental satisfaction,
It's a
and you
little
can
bit
be
more
independent. But
Yeah.
also, like if you don't have a like permanent job and it is
Yeah,
a bit of
temporary.
more temporary, then I think rented houses are much better, as you have to like constantly
Yeah.
move places
out.
here
Yeah.
and there.
Yeah.
So I think that's so.
Okay, that's our conclusion.
Bilingual Learning Center, BLC, Bogura.